first of all, let me tell you about our ViewRBuds community. Is a user group dedicated to promoting the knowledge sharing and best practices we use amongst IT professionals. And we regularly started conducting webinars and expert talks in various tech topics. This is our second webinar, and we have planned a few more as well. We generally try to arrange 2 or 3 webinars at least per month, so that we can cover almost the topics which the participants are interested. And this is a non-profit initiative, so no fees, but maybe if you can share the knowledge with your teammates and everyone which is connected to IT professional, then we will it will serve the purpose. So let me move to the next slide. Yes, so welcome. Today's webinar is getting started with Agile, and the webinar will not going to attempt to cover everything about Agile, because if I am going to try to cover everything, then it will exceed the scope of the webinar. And to be honest, we have tried to take the beginner levels and then move to advanced level one by one topics. Maybe you can find later slides of upcoming webinars, so that it can be helpful. But in today's webinar, we are covering the basic getting started with Agile. Let me move to the next one. So let me introduce myself first. So myself, Niraj Chauhan, I have around 8 years of experience in the software industry, mostly working from software development to product and project management. I am also certified Scrum professional from Scrum Alliance, and I also have advanced certified Scrum product owner from same Scrum Alliance, and also certified Agile leadership courses, which is equivalent to CAL1, I guess. And also I am supporting individual supporting members at Agile Alliance, Agile Austin, and Business Agility Institute. Also PMI certified member, and also connected with various Gujarat, Mumbai, Pune, and Bangalore chapters, and also basic one Scrum fundamental certified. I am also pursuing my executive education in project management and advanced management for IT professional from IIMs, different IIMs. You can feel free to connect via LinkedIn. And also there are many more titles, but not want to add over here, because this is not the scope of this webinar. So let me move to the next slide. Thank you to our sponsor, mainly to the engineers, because hosting and providing all the resources and the motivation and everything. So special thank to engineers. And also we have received let's say few more inquiry as well to the event sponsors and so on. So thank you to Aircom System as well, just providing hardware resources and everything, and supporting us in our hardware requirements. And let me move to the next slide. So I am going to launch a quick poll. How is your Agile experience? Because I just want to let know the audience which we are targeting. Just so if you are new to this Google Meet, then there is one activities in the lower right corner of you. You can go there and go into the polls. We have around 5 to 6 polls in this webinar, and a few of them is already launched. So you can go and participate into the polls, so that we can get idea about it. So just let us know if you face any difficulties in getting your whole question. So we have received 2 votes, 5+ more years of experience in Agile. Good, that's good. Maybe it will be possible that you are aware about most of the concept we have today in our slide, but maybe it will helpful in your next webinars for more advanced concept. We have 1 vote on just got started with Agile, so yes, it will going to be more beneficial. We have around now 4 watts, so maybe we will wait for 2 or 3 more minutes so everyone can participate, and just let us know if you face any difficulties. So we have around 6 hours at the moment, but we will check this poll results later uh, on the presentation. So let me move to the next slide. Yes, so let me start with the traditional approach. Uh, this approach is even referred as a Big Bang approach. All the deliverables are shown to the customer together at the later part of the project. So software development began to take on specific stages if we compared with traditional approach or waterfall approach. The sequential stage-based approach, like going from requirement specification to design, implementation, verification, maintenance, and so on. So this stage-based approach became popular in mid 1950s, and until 1970s, this model become known as a waterfall. So as mentioned, water is going wrong way, up a waterfall is pretty hard. So just we have to, let's say, new project stage does not begin until the previous one is finished. So this is one of the basic things about waterfall. Maybe we can cover into the next slide how it is different, and what's the disadvantages of waterfall, and what's benefit we are getting while using Agile. So that will be covered in the next slide. So let me uh, uh, discuss with you the risk with traditional waterfall development. We already faced many software projects do not meet the customer needs. Also, over 60% of project requirements change during execution because of current VUCA world. It is constantly changing, and we have now improved the customer collaboration and integration, and that's why it might be possible that the requirements are changing, not fixed. But waterfall is mostly based, mostly good fit when we have a fixed set of requirements, and we have a fixed scope of the project, and that's where waterfall fits mostly. So in 80%, if you are aware about 80/20 rule, so 80% of value deliver 20% of your product features. So apart from that, water flow tends to be slow, costly, and inflexible due to numerous restrictions, reduce customer involvement mostly in waterfall, and higher than normal risks not meeting the schedule. Also delays testing until the end of development cycle. And we can say no working software is available until later stages. This one few of the risk I try to list down. Just let me know if you have any question, or do not hesitate to stop me somewhere if you like some point is not clear to you, or if you want to, let's say, discuss more. And we will also have a question answer session in last few 5 or 10 minutes if time permits. So let me move to the next slide. So maybe we can start with history of the Agile. So this is where we enter the world of Agile. The main reason why Agile came into existence is in order to manage the changes better, we can say. The term Agile comes from the term agility. We can say that in general, it means ability to course correct rapidly and easily. So after, let's say, waterfall approach, the frustration of sequential project management methods in software development resulted in emergence of Agile, and a group of leading software developers met in Snowbird, US in 2001 to discuss their challenges, and they ultimately create an Agile manifesto. What the software industry needs was greater agility, new methods that allow for changes without significantly impacting cost and production schedules, And the main thing we can say, by dividing production into small components called iterations that would be simply and rapidly developed and tested. So now agile methods are utilized in variety of uh, industries beyond software development, such as telecommunications, aerospace, construction, as well as being blended with more traditional linear and project management approach, we can say. And if we, let's say, we are also discussing some of the agile myths later this webinar. So one of them is related to agile is mostly related to software industry. So we will also, it's not true. We will also going to discuss later part of this webinar. So let me move to the next slide. What is agile? We can say, let's say agile improves the software quality by empowering highly skilled technical professionals to organize into self-managing, accountable, cross-functional teams and create products that deliver tangible business value. So mainly the two prerequisites are: work is highly uncertain in scope and work involves knowledge workers. So agile is not recommended for all kind of work. The question that comes in the mind is, do we need agile? So in order to understand the answer, let us look how work happened in the past. We already seen that in waterfall approach and so on. So work in agile is done in short cycles called iterations, and total work is completed by going through such a small cycles. Next one. So few of the benefits I listed over here is benefits, we can say. So agile development is a mainstream now, and even the US government is transforming their work into the agile. And if we consider about benefits of agile, then empirical, we can say, mainly relies on observations and experience. We are learning by doing, and also it's easy to learn but hard to master. We can say lightweight, which makes it easy to understand, but it's hard to master. And customer centric approaches, and fast, it's quick, fast, but never hurried, and reduce wastefulness and decision shift to lower levels. And self-organization it promotes, it's highly adaptive and flexible, and we have less risk because in waterfall we are not sure if our product is going to meet the customer needs, or and if it will quick, agile will make quick that we will easily understand just before one or two sprint, that identify the risk and reduce it, and speed to deliver our products to master. So if you want a quick feedback in a nutshell, we can say, and willing to course correct, then use the agile. And let me move to the next slide. So the agile mindset is the way how we are going to think in agile. So it starts with the 4 values that further elaborated in 12 principles, and which are finally converted into several practices. Uh, so we are going to cover 4 values, 12 principles, and few of, let's say, in a general number of practices. But we are also planning to conduct a separate webinar on each of every one practice, and also on scaling of agile. How it's a part of series of webinars. So this is just the beginning of them. Let me move to the next slide. So the Agile Manifesto, as we discussed earlier, that the group met and come up with a manifesto. The Agile Manifesto introduced in 2001 and reads in its entirely as follows. So you can go to agilemanifesto.organization and just take a look at it. But it's just, so they mentioned that we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping it others to do it. So this work we have come to value. So we have, first one is related to individuals and interaction over processes and tools. This means that we care more about the individuals and their interactions than we care for processes and tools. So processing and tools will take the back seat, we can say, in comparison with people and communication first to deliver the work successfully. And in traditional approach, more stress is put on the process definitions instead of, let's say, individual and interaction. Apart from that, second one, working product over comprehensive documentation. So we have to concentrate on developing working software that delivers business value. And second focus will be on detail documentation. Second focus is not on detail, but we can say that required documentation. So one of the myth we will going to discuss in last is agile means no documentation, but it doesn't mean we will not going to prepare any documentation. We will have to write required documentation for the delivery product increment. So the third one is customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So on agile we work closely with customer and stakeholders through daily collaboration. So this collaboration may lead to constant change in work priorities or scope. So in such a cases, we try to focus on changes instead of going back to contracts. So if you are, let's say, new to this agile, then agile contracts are also different if we compare with the normal contracts. So we will also planning a separate webinar on how to make agile contracts or agile contracts made easy for you. So let me move to the next last one, which is responding to change over following a plan. So Agile came into existence so that changes can be managed better, or let's say we can say for greater business value. We try to accommodate changes even in late as well in the development. So while we can say there is a value on the items on the right, we value more the items on the left more, like individual and interaction, working software, customer collaboration, and responding to change. So these four we have covered. So let me move to the next slide. So we have, let's say, 12 principles of Agile Software Manifesto. So mostly it's very clear and well explained. So let me go through one by one. So the highest priority is satisfy customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Apart from that, welcome changing requirements even late in development. Agile process is harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. Do not hesitate if you have any question in any of the principles, or just if you can raise your hand or unmute yourself to just do not think how we all are going to feel. Just go forward and ask the question. Deliver working software frequently from couple of weeks to a couple of months with a preference to shorter time scale. Business people and developer must work together in daily throughout the project. So let's say business people have, let's say, general understanding with the developers, and developers will also let's say a metaphor we can say about how everything is going on, and build projects around the motivated individuals, give them environment to support their need and trust them to get the job done. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information is within a development is face-to-face conversation, and working software is the primary measure of progress, and agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsor developers and users should be able to maintain a constant pace, and continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhance agility. The simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work done. The best architecture requirements and design emerge from self-organizing team, and at regular intervals the team reflects on how become more effective, and you tunes the and adjusts its behavior accordingly. So these are the 12 principal principles we can say of Agile Software Manifesto. And as we have seen in, let's say, we have seen 4 values, 12 principle, and now we will say practices or frameworks we can say. So there are two types, lightweight approaches and cooler approaches. So Agile is more than an umbrella term which holds various project management frameworks under it. Like lightweight approaches, we can say Scrum, Lean, Kanban, extreme programming, continuous integration, delivery, feature driven development, test driven, crystal, we can say. And in, let's say, scaling agile or fuller approaches, we can say scale agile framework, scrum at scale, less, scrum of scrums, and so many. So actually it's not good, or we don't have enough time to go in detail each and every one. So I think we will take only few scrum, Kanban, and have a few beginning of introduction to the approaches, and we will cover it in a separate webinar later on. So let me move to the next slide. So we can discuss about what is Scrum. So Scrum is the most popular agile methodology, and it is based on three pillars, we can say: transparency, inspection, and adaptation. So the roles, we have three roles in Scrum: product owner, which in a single word we can say CEO of the product. The second role is Scrum Master, is a true leader, or we can say servant leader, but a servant leader word is widely misinterpreted, and so it is removed from latest Scrum guide and replaced with a true leader. And the development team, which is clear, consists of a cross-functional developer, we can say. And cross-functional means they are able to do, let's say, the required skill they have need to meet the sprint goal. And the entire scope of work is broken down into short development cycles called sprint. And the sprint duration is between 1 to 4 weeks, but not more than 4 weeks. The team should strictly follow a work plan for each sprint. And as we discussed, PO, Scrum Master, and the development team. These three are roles for here. So mainly the sprint this is the workflow. The product backlog will, let's say, then we will do sprint planning first. Then we will identify the highest priority item and main responsible person for prioritizing the task, and the product owner, which is responsible for creating maximum return of investment for the product and maximize the value which the development team is creating the features. And then we start the sprint with the Scrum team. We have everyday daily Scrum meeting, which let's say we have several anti-patterns in daily Scrum and various. So we are not going to cover it today, but at the end of sprint, we will have a product increment, and then we will have a sprint review and demo call to the focus group, stakeholders, and required person to be there in sprint. And then after ending of the sprint, we will reflect how the sprint went, what was good, what went well, and we will decide some actionable items. And that's a sprint retrospective, and we will do repetitive cycles of this. So this is the basic overview of the Scrum. And let me move to the next slide. So it is a Kanban. So Kanban is based on lean production system used at Toyota manufacturing as a production control method. So Kanban in Japanese means billboard or a signboard. So it is based on process value stream, and it relies on 5 practices that is mainly aimed at waste reduction. So first is visualize the workflow, limit the work in progress, manage the flow, make the process policies more explicit, and improve collaboratively. So a Kanban board, we can say, is more very commonly used in Agile implementation. So, and personally, I can say I am using a Kanban board for my personal learning objectives, and I have set work in progress limit to 2 at the moment. So that's about Kanban board. Then we have a extreme programming. So XP in short defines several core practices very commonly used in Agile way of transforming. The focus is on technical aspect of software development, and several best practices introduce and helping developers to write a clear code, and consist of core writing, testing, analyzing, designing, and continuous integration of code, and face-to-face communication within the team and customer involvement is development are crucial. So the core practices, the coding standards, refactoring, pair programming, continuous integration, collective ownership, because there is no concept like my code, your code. The whole team is responsible for all the let's say all the code, and we will not going to blame each other. And also, if there is no individual heroism in the collective ownership, and there are only two stages: if team succeed or fails. Pair programming. So apart from that, continuous integration and small releases. These are the core practices even also used in other frameworks as well. Let me move to the common agile myths as we are uh, discussing earlier. So first of all, first is agile is only for software development. So it is true that agile began life as an approach to software development, and the principle remains mostly associated, or we can say strongly associated with software development. But I have seen agile implementation in many industries as well, successfully applied in sales, construction, in HR as well. So if you have any doubt how we will going to apply it in construction, so we can say that uh, it's not possible, for example, to apply agile at the beginning phase of construction, because we have to go sequential over there, like building the floors one by one. But we can use agile in interior parts, like the interior parts of construction. uh, Also, it's is nowadays applying to almost every industry today. So the second myth is there is no documentation with agile. As we discussed earlier, agile places less emphasis on the need for documentation compared to waterfall. But that does not mean that no documentation is required. In agile, an appropriate level of documentation at the end of each iteration is to be there. The third myth, we can say agile doesn't do planning. We already know that our requirements are not fixed in agile. That's why we are the main sole purpose to use agile. And if there is nothing is requirement is fixed, then why we have to do long term planning or upfront planning, we can say. So we will plan at least what is, let's say, 2 or 3 sprint or short iteration, then we will do. So the fourth one, we can say agile only works for the small project, but it's also not true. We can scale agile, and we have different popular scaling practices which are widely used at the moment. But we admit that scaling is hard. So the fifth one is agile is not a silver bullet. So I wish this were true, but isn't. So you can fail with any project methodologies you follow in your life, but I can say that you will fail faster if you are using agile. So now I can say, if you don't have people that like being empowered or taking initiative or getting things done, that's a different problem. It's not an agile problem. Agile just gives them permission to do their best work and be accountable for the results, uh, or product increment, we can say. So let's say last one myth. So I have just taken common agile myths. Agile involves a lot of rework. So this is exactly the opposite. We get a regular customer feedback after each iteration and implement those. Due to early feedback, the rework is less as we compare to traditional approaches. So these are the common agile myths. And if anyone has question, maybe we can discuss that, or otherwise we will move to the next slide. So let me Move to the next slide. So we have following upcoming events. As we mentioned that we plan to begin by initial level webinars and continue with advanced topics. So we have next webinar is on Scrum fundamentals, and then everything about Kanban, Agile leadership in VUCA world, Agile at scale, Agile contracts made easy, so and some solid design principle, code refactoring, design patterns, and development tools. So, and if you have also, let's say, other interesting topics, then you can add into the chat, or you can also directly message us as well. The next slide. So here are the few activities that we are conducting in Agile space. So and regularly posting on LinkedIn. So if you want, you can follow us. So how do you prioritize bugs along with your feature requests? So if a bug was, there is a common saying that if a bug was addressed on the day it was created, otherwise it takes around 24 times longer. So on the same day, it will take, let's say, 1 hour to fix that bug, but after 2 or 3 weeks, it will take more than a day to fix it and also recover all the affected areas. It's not when we have a task of bug fixing or something like that, then always it's not among the favorites and preferred tasks. So these are the one of the way I shared on LinkedIn to prioritize how you can prioritize your bugs along with a feature request. And also we have said one 5-hour rule in premium career group on LinkedIn. So every day we will almost spend 1 hour in continuous learning. So it will help a lot for you to improve yourself in your development field. And also we are regularly conducting polls on various agile groups on LinkedIn. So let's say uh, we had a root cause analysis poll, which techniques you are using, and we found out we have received around 630 votes, and most 64% are using 5Y technique, and second one is Fishbone, and the Pareto analysis is 8%, and also the sequential poll we ran afterwards. If your manager asks why several times, then when a problem is there, then we have only 79% of audience out of around 2,000 votes. They are, let's say, not aware about 5Y root cause analysis. So they have voted on trying to find accountability, improve collaboration, and some of them have called none of the above, but the correct answer is 5Y technique, which is associated with root cause analysis to find the real problem. So let me move to the next slide. So apart from that, the two other posts are related to high performing teams are hard to create, and how we can, let's say, create high performing teams, and how to be effective lead of your team. So that's be proactive, adaptive feedback from failures, and work life balance, because you have to also look after your health as well and important relationship. You will be in the best position to ensure this outcast the project and avoid unnecessary work. You have to save your energy, let's say, for the upcoming works as well. So let me move to the next one. So we also face that we are complaining so much about spending too much time in meetings in this COVID situation, and we will have a less productive days. So we discuss several suggestions, like if you don't need to be there in meeting all the time, just leave and inform the organizer. Then we have free up time to high priority work, and we can also delegate the work meetings to other team members and empower them as well, and discuss the outcome at the meetings at once, and make sure that you have clear agenda in your meetings. And if you have an opportunity to say no to an unnecessary meeting, then take the initiative, and you will not only free up the time, but you will also undying admiration of your co-workers, and always meeting minutes help later on. Apart from that, one post is related to how you decide what to work on first. So there are several, let's say, technique, rice, ice, and Moscow, and so on. But we discussed with how do you prioritize based on rice score. So this is one of the posts, and yes, so the next post in how to accelerate the team growth and understand the team dynamics, and that's the activity we have made in past months. And also we are giving back to the nature. So thanks to viewer birds and engineers who take initiative to plant a tree. Every time we have a webinar, we will plant a project called on Project Lilucham Gujarat, and just we are planting a tree. That's one of the initiative. And always I just want to recommend everyone to do continuous learning and improvements, because you are not too busy to improve. So that's one of my favorite slides. So I just like to add also in the current webinar. That's all from my side. Thank you everyone for your participation. And we just try to start on time and end on time.